Yes, and since we wait for other attendees to come in, I think I should play a little bit and to get to know more of our attendees today. So I just want to check the chat section. So further on, we can have the Q&A session up here. May I please know more about the attendees? Where are you watching this webinar from, and what are you most excited to know about from today's session? Yes. Can I see your countries in the chat box, please? I really wanted to know where you're coming from because from the list that I'm seeing people from the US, people from Europe, especially from Germany, from Netherlands, and we also have people from around APAC as well. So yeah, I would love to see in the chat where you guys are coming from. Great. Yes, of course, from Vietnam. That's nice. Yes. May I have more chats, please? Because as you can see, Vietnam is turning into something that we all sense, right? It's some strategic pivot point to leverage a lot of technology and a lot of business. The government is supporting other countries investing in, and clearly, today's session is very worthy of your attention, and I can guarantee you it will be packed with a lot of useful information for your investment. Yes. Oh, great. I've seen people from Hong Kong and Poland, Ireland. That's great. Yes, that's wonderful. And may I also ask, what are you most excited to see about today? Because we have a lot of sessions, business in Vietnam in general, the tech landscape in Vietnam in general, and of course, the tariff shifts that we're seeing here in Vietnam. Okay, hi Lan, I can see you. India, that's cool. Hello, Mira. Yes, as I was said, we have a lot of attendees from the US, Europe, APAC, and even MENA.
US? What time is US?
See you all here in today's webinar of Invest in Vietnam Technology Industry and Navigating the Tariff Shifts. So it's now 3 p.m., 15 o'clock here in Vietnam, and it's 10 a.m. there, 10 p.m. there in the US, right? So yes, first of all, welcoming all of you to the first webinar here in Invest in Vietnam Technology Industry, Navigating Tariff Shifts. And I'm Thomas Vu, and I'll be your host for today. So yeah, it's really thrilled to have you all here, and I've seen a lot of audience from the US, Europe, and just anywhere across the globe. And I hope that you are also enjoying this as well, whether live or catching on replay later. So this session is really special as it is marking our first webinar series of Built in Vietnam, which is a monthly deep dive as we're hosting a lot of critical topics around investing in Vietnam's tech industry. The program is hosted by LTS Group, as we will bring in a diverse set of experts and decision makers to spotlight emerging trends, market opportunities, or even on-the-ground insights. And what to say? I can guarantee you that today's topic is a very hot one because global supply chains are shifting, tariffs are changing, and Vietnam has been rising as one of the most serious
Yeah.
to invest in Vietnam. If not, what are the real risks? And if yes, what are the hidden opportunities here in Vietnam? So yes, that's exactly what we'll be unpacking for today, as with the help of two brilliant speakers here who bring both strategy and real-world experience to the table. Okay, so let me quickly introduce our speakers. First, we have Mr. Adam, CEO of EVIT, European Vietnam IT Organization, He's also a cross-border business consultant who has helped numerous companies here enter and scale in Vietnam. Welcome on board. Welcome to the event, Mr. Adam.
Thanks, guys, for having me. I appreciate that. Looking forward to
Yes,
our session.
great. Wonderful to have you here. And also, in representation of LTS Group, we'll be having Mr. Huy Nguyen, who is the Director of Global Sales and Operations, with over 20 years in IT and 8 years helping global clients build high-performing teams in Vietnam. So yes, happy to have you here, Huy.
Yeah, thank you, Thomas, and hi, everyone.
All right, so before we jump in the first topic, I want to ask the speakers, our lovely speakers, a little bit more. Can you briefly introduce yourself and maybe share one thing that you're most excited to talk about today? So, Adam, would you like to start? A
Sure.
little bit about yourself and what you're most excited about for this event.
So, guys, again, thank you so much for having me here. I am originally from Poland. However, it's been 20 years since I left Poland. I've been living in Republic of Ireland for quite a while, where I also continued my education. And then last 10 years I spent in Asia, sorry guys, we have a bit echo. Is it on your side?
I think there's a guy named TL here. Yeah, I think you can try again with the mic. I think it's all good now.
All right. So 10 years in Asia, 9 years now in Vietnam, and it was amazing journey. I am actually very, very grateful that I got the opportunity to come to Vietnam and see what's happening here. What I am the most excited about is actually seeing the growth of this country. What I mean exactly is I've been living in multiple European countries. I've been traveling around the world, and I haven't seen anywhere speed of development as it's happening in Vietnam. So I'm really excited, guys, to share with you what I have experienced during my last 9 years here, and maybe share with some tips and ideas how you can leverage this beautiful country, this amazing economy, and grow your business as well.
Love to hear that. Vietnam is not just a beautiful country, but it also has a lot of potential on its growth, right? Great, thank you for your intro, Adam. And now on to you. May you please introduce a bit about yourself and maybe what you're most wanted to tell about people.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Thomas, and thank you, Adam, for the introduction.
Mhm.
Actually, we connect a little bit on the LinkedIn, and I would like to, very pleased today that we can go join the webinar from LTS Group. I myself started my career at the software developer more than 20 years ago. Even when I was a student in Hanoi University of Tech. My first company was FPT Software, which is the now is a biggest IT service provider in Vietnam. I worked there for 10 years, and then after then, together with my colleagues, we founded some startup company working in the technology innovation and education. And since then, I joined several company, which is the foreign companies and also Vietnamese company to boost up the tech innovation startup. I have the foreign companies to go to Vietnam. I have them to build the operation team. I have them to build business market as well in Vietnam. Recently, I joined LTS Group from beginning of last year, 2024. So my main focus is in the tech. So I love tech. So for today's seminar, I would really love for us to discuss about tech area, let's say. Thank you very much.
That's wonderful. And yeah, as the attendees can see that both of our speakers here are very experienced experience in the field of tech and doing business in Vietnam overall. So I believe and I can guarantee you that guarantee it will be packed with insights and what to do next in Vietnam. All right, so now we have met our brilliant speakers. Let's do what's coming up next for today's session. Yes, and for today's session, we'll be having first a quick look about doing business in Vietnam. And later on, we'll be focusing on the tech landscape, what's really happening here in the tech industry in Vietnam, what to invest on. And of course, number 3, navigating how tariffs are working and of course, how global players are adapting their strategies based on those tariffs as well. And lastly, of course, your live questions in the Q&A. And just to give you a little bit of heads up, we'll also be having Q&A for after each session. So we'll be having Q&A after doing business in Vietnam, Vietnam's tech landscape, and the final one will be the final Q&A for the whole event overall. So how do you give answers? How do you give questions to the speakers? Here I have had a little tutorial. So to ask or send questions for speakers, you can either directly ask by unmuting yourself and speak up, right? Type your questions and send it in the chat or using the Q&A panel, which has the icons in the upper left screen, upper left-hand side screen of yours. Okay, so, or if you have anything on the go, you can just raise your hand and we will give you the floor so that you can express your ideas. Okay, I think you guys have all been clear with the platform instructions. And yeah, I think let's go into the first part here of doing business in Vietnam. So as you can see on the table here, we have had a lot of research onto Vietnam and to show where Vietnam has been standing right now. For the full year of 2024, Vietnam has been showing a very strong and resilient growth. The GDP real growth has reached 7.1% in 2024, which is very poised to lead the whole region of Southeast Asia. And based on the most recent report, Vietnam's GDP growth is even more growing in the future. In Q2 this year, it has reached 7.96%, which is up significantly from last year quarter. And if you look on the chart of Asia and below, you will see that Vietnam's projected average annual real rate is very potential. Wait, you guys cannot see the slides, right? Oh, my bad, my bad. Yes, because I have said previous on, sorry, as I've said previous on, we have a lot of people watching from across the globe. So it's clearly having a lot of attention to Vietnam, and people from all across the globe are a little bit disrupting our Wi-Fi internet, and now I have put the screens back online. So guys, can you see the screen yet? As I continue, have you guys seen the screen yet?
Yes.
Yes, that sounds great. So I think I'll rewind a little bit. So I just wanting to talk about how Vietnam has been standing right now. It has a really resilient growth, reaching GDP of 7.1 in last year. And it's also very poised to lead Southeast Asia in terms of GDP growth, as well as in Q2 this year, it has reached up to 7.96%. The left-hand side chart shows that if we were to compare them to Asian peers, we have seen Vietnam to outpace the regional peers in the next decade, turning into one of the top 25 largest economies globally. And on the right side chart, this is more like a positioning map, as it shows how Vietnam has been balancing strong growth with very low inflation. Because this is not something very easy to be done. Many growing economies has been struggling with macro instability, and Vietnam has been so far managing pretty well to keep inflation under control. Yes, and that's in Vietnam. So how about the FDI, as many of investors here are very cautious about this? Of course, foreign direct investment FDI has been hitting $25 billion last year, which is the second highest in our history, with Vietnam attracting a lot of strong inflow of FDI from Asia-based and reputable investors. As you can see, Vietnam is a strategic supply chain hub, 8,000 FDI projects ongoing. Great. And why? Why is this all happening here in Vietnam? As you may ask, of course, as you can see, our country has a very strategic location, both on political and social. Vietnam has maintained a high trust environment for decades. In terms of international integration, Vietnam has signed 16 FTAs, is a member of WTO, APEC, ASEAN, and is negotiating on 22 more policies. Comprehensive strategic relation with other 12 global countries as well. And of course, new policies. The government is encouraging investment. The National Digital Strategy and 2020-2050 Infrastructure Master Plan. Okay, so where are the real opportunities lie if you were to know Vietnam is such a favorite place to invest in? If we were to look across Vietnam's economy, opportunities lie everywhere. From high-tech manufacturing like semiconductors or medical devices to green industries, especially renewables and EV supply chains, to even infrastructure and logistics, which is continue to expand with very strong government support. Of course, there's also a lot of room for growth of heavy industry and services, which is one of the most potential sectors here with the fast-growing demand of healthcare, education, and digital business. All right, so enough talking. I think we should have a more direct conversation about how strategically you should be investing in Vietnam, not whether Vietnam is a good place of investment or not, right? So to help us unpack all these strategies even further, let's turn on to our speakers. Adam and Huy, I would love your take here. So I've actually got this question here for Adam. Yeah, I've put it on the slide so that the attendees can easily see how we go with each questions. So from your question, from Adam, I know that you have worked with clients exploring Vietnam as a regional hub before. You have years of experience in this. So from your POV, what are the most underrated advantages that foreign companies only realize after they have entered this market of Vietnam?
Thank you so much for this question. So guys, before I get into it, I just share with you a little bit information why I am right face person to share this information. As I said before, I've been living here for 9 years, but also the job what I do professionally is actually I get very deeply involved in the market, in Vietnamese market and the global market. So basically, I am a business consultant and helping businesses from Vietnam to expand globally, not only from Vietnam, because we have clients from APAC region generally, and we help them expand globally. As well, we take the clients from the Western countries and help them enter to Vietnam. Because of this position, I'm so lucky that I have the opportunity to be exposed to a lot of information about the market, about the trends. Actually, my job requires me to understand all of that information. So that's the reason why I'm feeling I'm a little bit entitled to talk about this. And now, in answer to your question, when the Western business is coming to Vietnam, there are two main surprises awaiting for them. First surprise is about the market and economy. So this is something that I mentioned to you guys at the very beginning, that this is extremely dynamic market. It's growing so fast. I never seen anywhere in the world such a fast speed of the development. So when then, let's say, people from the mature market come in here, they see what is happening here. They see the dynamic of this country. They see the young generation, where most of the people is in the age between 20 to 36. They're very, very surprised about this fact. Second thing what I would like to mention is about the people themselves. So Vietnamese people, they're very unique people. When anyone asking me, Adam, why you have chosen Vietnam, why you decide to stay here, I always say the same. Number one reason is the people. So except that people here very nice, polite, very helpful. They have extreme work ethic. They're very, very hard working. Like I can remember when I used to work in the corporate setting in Ireland, in the pharmaceutical and medical business.
Yes.
When the 5 o'clock hit, then everybody ran to the cars. And 3 minutes after the car park was empty. Everybody already gone. In Vietnam, I have a tendency to stay sometimes longer in the office. 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m. People, they're still here and they're working. They're actually getting the dinner, eating dinner together at the office, and then they're coming back to work. And they will not come to you and say, oh, you need to pay me extra, or you pay me more money because otherwise I will go home. No, they're not like this. They actually really supportive. They care to some extent about the work and about the company, which is, for me, person coming from the Europe, is really amazing to see. And this is something I really appreciate. And the last but not least, what I would like to say about Vietnam specifically, this is the country where everything is possible. What I mean is that Europe, US is very strongly regulated already. And whatever you need to do, there is the instruction for this. There is the plan, step 1, step 2, step 3. There is no other option. But Vietnam is still pretty open. There is not so much regulation, that then it's creating an environment where everything is kind of flexible and everything is possible. This is what I really, really appreciate about this country. Thank you, guys.
Well, that's a very informative informative answer. As you have answered that Vietnam, you have three points about Vietnam, right? So it has this great, fast-going market and economy, the great people, and lastly, everything is possible here in Vietnam, right? So yeah, that's very interesting to hear. And I know that you have worked with a lot of international clients before, and maybe in Southeast Asia overall. Do Vietnam have anything that is a little bit more special, or what is the most critical decision point when comparing Vietnam to other options like Thailand or Cambodia, Laos, or the Philippines? Could you share a case or just any process from your partners that Vietnam really stand out from other Southeast Asian options?
So when people considering offshoring, let's say, collaborating with the business from Asia, and I say offshoring because for Europe or US, this is offshore. Yes. They will look into few elements. They will look into the price. They will look into the culture fit. They will look into the language. They will look into the regulations. They will look into the time zone, legal matters. Because Western businesses, they're really practical. I mean, Western peoples, Western business owners, they're really practical. They want to look into the specific elements that will help them grow the business. And if we consider those elements, we can see that, first of all, Vietnam gives this environment where, believe me or not, but the government support here for investors. I feel that the government trying to make my life easy, which is extremely nice feeling. It's actually completely opposite what you feel in the Western countries, or at least what I felt. Whenever I had to work with the tax office, with some legal matter, it's always difficult and always making problems in the Western countries. I used to have one business in Ireland. I used to do some small businesses in Poland. But Vietnam, I have a feeling they are pretty supportive. So that's that's the one thing that would make it outstanding. And the second thing what I would have to share is about the culture. And here we have a very young generation of the people. Most of the people is in age between 20 to 36, 36 years. And those are very young people with open mind and with the access to the information from around the world. So even though we have a specific political setting here in Vietnam, but we still have the access to all information. And those young people, the young generation, they take in this information and they consuming this with great pleasure and passion. And you can see that the shift in the mindset, the adaptability of Vietnamese people is really, really fast. And this is something that also making this country, I would say, outstanding. And the last but not least, the work ethic I mentioned before, it's something also make it Vietnam stand out in the region of APAC or Southeast Asia.
Yes, yes. The work ethics, government support, culture, and work ethics, right? Well, I think the work ethics of Vietnamese people are so good because they work for people like you, Adam, because you have this real clear vision on a lot of macro problems and you have the right vision to lead those employees. So it's really great to have leaders and subject matter experts like you here in Vietnam so that uh, other international investors, they know how to navigate the things here in our country. Great. So now I think I should ask Mr. Huy a little bit because as a Vietnamese yourself, we are immersed in news every single day that something is shifting, policies are shifting, structure are shifting. So which policy or structure shift in the past couple of 2 years do you think has created the biggest shift for foreign clients in Vietnam?
Okay, thank you, Thomas. So, firstly, I would say appreciate your compliment from Adam for Vietnamese talent people. So you mentioned that when the foreigner they want to go to Vietnam to do the business, first and foremost is the people, right? And I say that the Vietnamese people is nice and they are hardworking. So because I'm Vietnamese people, so I say thank you for your compliment. For your question, though, within this 2 years, so I see 2 points from the government. Not just talking about the resolution recently that we know that is the number, 68 or number 57, but the two things that I would see from government perspective. I'm sorry. I got some problem with my network, so I don't know what I'm talking about, but maybe I could repeat that. Is it okay right now? Thomas and Adam, can you hear me? Adam, can you hear me?
It's not so great, to be honest with you. There are some distractions.
There's some good connection on my end. Really sorry for that. Do you think that is better right now? Okay. Yeah. So I may go ahead with some of my comments for from with here to be administrated from the government, because they are really actively cutting in red tape on the streamline the processes, with directly addresses a major historical pain point for foreign investor, let's say. Because before I've seen the for more than 20 years with my career, and there's a lot of let's say complain about the visa from the government point of view, whether it was very hard to open the entity, doing business in Vietnam. Within 2 years, you see a lot of improvement from government. Second thing is that the government pay more incentives for high-tech industry, so that is very, very important. And the Vietnamese government, they're offering the very good tax break for and support for strategic sector like AI, like a blockchain, like a semiconductor or renewable energies. And those two combinations making for foreigner to make it smarter and more attractive for high quality investment in Vietnam, which is very, very good at this time for the foreign to go that's my point of view. From fundamental shift from the government sector really want maybe 60% or more than 60% of GDP in the economy in Vietnam. A second resolution that you may know that just very recently is that the resolution number 57 issued late 2024, but officially and it's about May to science, technologies, innovation, and digital of number 57 key of percent. The most important thing is that R&D spending could up to 2% of the GDP from the government. So those are the two big shifts from my point of view that Vietnamese government had just issued recently that helps a lot in private sector to do business, and also the new technology, innovation technology for the Vietnamese economy. Thank you.
Great. I think that's a wonderful question that really wraps up how Vietnam is getting structured back with different policies and which sector to actually invest on and which is the most potential. So, okay, I think that's pretty wraps up the whole context of doing business in Vietnam in general. So for any of the questions here that you might want to ask our brilliant speakers here, I think that we could put it in the Q&A, and the questions will be solved later on at the end of our event. Does that sound all right? Yes, great. So for the time, I think I just gonna be rushing on to section 2 of today. So on this section, not just doing business in Vietnam, but also we'll be focusing more on the tech landscape. So yes, you guys can see the screen, right? I've now moved on to the new screen of focusing more on Vietnam tech landscape. Great. So now, as you can see on the screen, Vietnam tech landscape has been booming for a couple of decades back with a lot of numbers. They are really speaking out the volumes here. In 2024, the Vietnam ICT sector revenue hit $45.5 billion. That is huge. And the digital economy has reached 36 billion, which now makes up 80.3% of our whole GDP. And as you can see from the graph, Vietnam's digital economy is rapidly catching up with international players, and it's actually on track to become one of the largest in Southeast Asia by 2030. Yes, Vietnam now has had 500,000 IT workers with more than 4,000 startups. So clearly, this is making a serious waves for new sectors like AI and semiconductors. Not to mention Nvidia, one of the biggest giants out there in tech. Their recent investment in data centers here is a great signal of that confidence that Vietnam is going to boom even more in the tech landscape. Many of you has been asking, why do they invest in Vietnam tech? Vietnam has nothing that much. Well, actually, I have other ideas. There has been a lot of market growth drivers. First, we have bold policies, not just a lot of policies that encourage them, but these are very bold ideas that government help countries of Vietnam to grow even more further with more FDI. Here we have the game changer, Resolution 57, passed just late last year, and it has marked a national shift from just catching up to now leading in science, innovation, and digital transformation. We also see here a favorable tax incentives, land support, growing private sector momentum in R&D, AI, and venture funding, uh, infrastructure upgrades from digital parks to data centers with over 10% of CAHR. And of course, 500,000 IT workers, 4,000 startups. This is clearly a very strong and potential growing IT workforce. Yes, clearly, this is not just numbers, but also the big players in international landscape has also been investing in here. Nvidia launching new AI centers and acquiring VinBrain. Marvel opening its third office in Da Nang besides Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City. The Foxconn and Apple supplier of 3M, as well as Google, Meta, and Microsoft are either scaling operations or contributing to a record high tax payments in 2024. All right, so enough talking again. Let's pull back from the charts and data and see how the tech is being felt on the ground of people who are really doing in tech. As yes, let's turn on the speakers to unpack these again in terms of the tech landscape here in Vietnam. I think I should ask here another part of questions. For Huy, you are the CEO of LTS, LTS, and when foreign companies they set up new companies here in Vietnam, either tech centers or R&D teams, do you know that what are some of the potential or common challenges that they might face during the early stages in investing in Vietnam?
Thank you, Thomas. I don't know whether the network quality is good for me. If you see any interruption, you should tell me, okay? So for me, the companies in foreign companies, if they want to do business in Vietnam, either it's setting up team in Vietnam or doing R&D or even invest in opening the entity in Vietnam, they will be facing with three key things. The first one is the procedure from the government, which I have already mentioned in my last answers, which is already improved by the government, where they have a very good resolution to improve those situations for the administration reform. So that is first thing. Second thing will be the talents. I mean the people, right? Because if they really want to do the business in Vietnam, especially in tech, they need the senior talents, and we can see that in Vietnam, there's huge pool of the talents, but the senior talents for the R&D is a problem as well. It is still the problem. So that's why they really want to to have partners to help them, or they need to really they need to really investigate. They need to explore the market, or they need to go to Vietnam to see the real thing. And the third thing will be the culture and the communication mismatch, right? Where the English, the foreign language is a key barrier, and also the culture differences. So those are the three key things that, from my point of view, when a foreign company want to go to business, even set up the team or set up the R&D or entity in Vietnam.
Great. So yes, of course, it's no surprise that when people invest in Vietnam, they might encounter a lot of challenges or concerns. But maybe sometimes local tech firms or even leaders like Mr. Adam here can help them navigate the things that are going on onto a market they don't know really much, right? So for the same question, have you ever seen any of those challenges or concerns solved in real life? And maybe maybe a case study where they have solved those questions.
Okay. Maybe it's better I tell my story, right?
Yes, that would be
So
even better.
I can list out those two examples. The first one was a very big companies in the state, in United States. They are leading 3D modeling and interior design solutions in providing. So the founder and CEO, he came to Vietnam, and he already founded some company, some service company, to help him to really start all those paper stuff, and also looking for the people. And then he met me, right, to a friend, and we discussed a lot of the challenges that we already led in our section. And at that time, I accept that I wouldn't have him to be like, let's say, like a general manager of the company in Vietnam. So I have him to build all the offices. I have him to build the team. I have him to do a lot of paper stuff as well. And then at that time, we after 4 months, we increased the number of the employee to 150 people, which was working in their 3D modeling. So those are very a good example. And I have been to manage for more than 3 years, and then I somehow to start off with my friend. So those are the key sample, because that it won't be very difficult for such enterprise in foreign company to open in Vietnam, which they don't really know the culture, they don't really know the people, where to find the people, and how to even establish all those paperwork and so on as well. So that is the first thing, the first case study. The second one, which we already successful done recently, with just this year. So one of the leading enterprise firms in battery and wireless charging. So they have been developing the products in automotive field. So they want to, when they go to Vietnam, they want to have, BOT model, which Grid and Transform at that time, and they met our company, and we for sure we persuade them with our knowledge and experience that we will be setting up the team for them. We operate the team for them, and let's say we will be transforming for them as well if the model is working. And right now, up to 6 months, the team will already be more than 20 people there. So we are working for their product. We develop the software. We integrate the hardware. Also, we do R&D for them as well. Those are the two case study which is one is very recently that we have that I myself am into helping the foreign company to invest in Vietnam.
Yes, that's great because as one famous designer once said, I think it's best to have knowledge, experience, and yeah, to be actually inside of the tech industry, can you know what's really going on and how to navigate all those shortcuts and how to actually develop and to grow and scale here in Vietnam. So besides just market research and being there and that and using your past experience, it's also very important to have a local firm that can help you um, to blend in with the country, especially where you're targeting to, and in this case, Vietnam, right? So, yeah, thank you a lot, because that's really insightful. We know more about the case studies that you have done, and it's really useful for international investors when they know what is best when they try to ask for a local firm here. And Adam, I would like to have your take on this because many people in Vietnam, they said invest in tech, just invest in tech, but to what sector? There are a lot of things going on inside. We have AI, we have semiconductors, smart manufacturings. So if I were to ask you, if you had to place only one bet on what would be going on and to have the most strategic value over the next decade, what would that be? And will you invest in that? And how will you invest in it? Yes.
So this is a difficult question because I don't like really predicting the future. Right?
Right.
I don't like to play the wizard thing. I can tell you where I'm putting my words. I also actually put in my effort and my money. So at this moment I'm actually launching the project where I will be investing in Vietnamese startups. So coming back to those young, very creative, very open-minded people, and a lot of very intelligent technical guys who are building amazing products, amazing digital products, starting from SaaS products, going through some application mobile. A lot of things going on here. What I want to, where I see the potential is basically, first of all, work with those people, help them expand globally, bring their products to the Europe, bring their product to the US. Because I feel that Vietnam is kind of hidden from the world. Maybe people, they're still biased a little bit. Maybe when Western people think about Vietnam, they maybe remember the war or thinking about the jungle. They do not have awareness of what is happening. So there is a lot of opportunity from what I see in the tech industry, in the building the technology product. And AI also starting emerging a little bit, but it's still kind of when Vietnam need to compete with China or Poland or Russia or US, maybe this is a little bit difficult. But there is plenty of the products, like mobile application, web application, where I am actually investing. Obviously, there are other industries like semiconductors. Just 2 months ago, we had a big event with the guys from NVIDIA, from Facebook. Prime Minister came in, and they're launching huge projects here. Those are the huge investment, huge projects. But Vietnam also is moving in that direction because I can see a huge initiative from the government to train people to work in the semiconductor industry. So this is also a place where I could see the potential. And I actually also researching about that industry as well. Yes. Last but not least, working with the Vietnamese people in creating IT delivery center, something what Huy was talking about. It's also really potential. This is leveraging resources, local resources, having this arbitrage on the low cost, high intelligence people who are hardworking, and use this arbitrage to grow the business. That's really simple, straightforward business model that most of the people can apply. And you guys, I can share with you one more thing what I am actually seeing in the Europe. In the Europe, the business owners of the technology companies, they started shifting a little bit the model they operate. Instead of having 100% of engineering in-house, they are outsourcing 20%. What's this model doing? It's giving them actually a lot of security. What I mean, you see now the market is up and down, volatile. You don't know what is happening. We don't know, are we going the south, meaning dark crisis place, or we are going up. Now the time are a little bit uncertain. So the companies in Europe, they decided to outsource 20% of their resources to offshore or nearshore. And if something bad happens, they are pretty safe because they can cut off those resources from the offshore, and then they keep in their core team, they keep in core business with untapped. So this is also a very nice strategy that everybody can learn.
Great to hear that, because that's a very insightful thing there from Europe. As you've said, they outsource a part of their projects, right? So it's helped them to cut costs and to have save time, and also to save the resources as well. And yes, I think many countries has been a great outsourcing development centers, and Vietnam is no exception in that. Vietnam has also not just being in the outsourcing industry, but also having the strategic location, resource, and investment, as well as government support, to become something bigger than that, and to lead this tech industry together with international players as well. So yes, another great answer by Mr. Adam. Really appreciate that. And yes, I think the questions, a little bit Q&A for this section will be later move on, so that we have gathered the last part of this event today as one of the biggest thing that people are talking about, and it's also the name of this webinar as well. Let's talk about US and Vietnam's tariff, and then we will have the final Q&A where all things shall be discussed. All right. So surely, on April 3rd, I remember Donald Trump has raised something very groundbreaking, as they have given this called a sweeping tax, like placing Vietnam among one of the hardest hit countries, a new 46% duty on many Vietnamese exports to the US, which is second only to Cambodia, which sent shockwaves across key export sectors. But situation has got much better, because 3 months later, after multiple rounds of intense negotiations from both governments, the US and Vietnam has reached a new reciprocal trade agreement, as according to statements from both sides, the deal will be substantially reduced. As you can see on the screen, 20% tariff on most Vietnam origin exports to the US, 40% tariff on goods suspected as being transshipped, and 0% tariff for American goods entering Vietnam, especially in sectors like automotive, tech, and agriculture. Right? So if you were to look on a regional perspective here in Vietnam and in Southeast Asia in overall, you can see that while most countries in Asia saw tariffs locked or even increased, Vietnam has managed to pull off a sharp 26-point drop, and surely from a threatened 46% down to a confirmed 20%, you can see how Vietnamese government has been working with the US government, and clearly this is something that shows how potential of Vietnam is in terms of its location and its resources, that it can be something greater, something very important partner of the US that has made the deal so successful for Vietnam to a only 20% tariff. Surely this is not settled yet, of course, because there's still no clear guidelines of what transshipped goods shall be defined, and what kinds of components, as well as origin makings and manufacture value added meeting with US rules. So yeah, for Vietnam, I think it's just only a glass half full, and any deal is better than no deal. But the devil is in the detail, and until the full terms are released, it's really hard to have any judgment on this, because meanwhile, in companies in Vietnam tech and services, they can find a new opportunity here, because tariffs, how would I say, they only focuses on physical stuffs, and Vietnam's tech and services might find something that they can develop more, because how should I say? And this also means that software development, for example, IT services, digital solutions, they have been remaining unaffected and even gain in attractiveness as US firms are shifting focus. So yeah, as I've said, a lot of investment coming into Vietnam, not just in business in overall, but especially in tech industry. So what does this mean for strategy, for diversification, or even global partnerships? Let's ask our guest speakers. Shall we do it again? Okay, Adam, I think we'll have the first question for you here. How should we read this new tariff deal? Is it a win? Is it a loss? Some say 20% is better than 46%, but nothing is clear yet. So what are your thoughts? What are your takes on this new tariff deal?
It's hard to talk about this. It's very sensitive subject.
Right.
I am not so optimistic like you are, Thomas, unfortunately, because Donald Trump, he is very skillful negotiator, let's say like that, business guy. What I mean, Thomas, if I want to borrow from you $50, I will come to you and I will say, Thomas, give me $100. And you will say, no, I don't have $100. Okay, so at least give me 50. That's the very standard negotiation tactic.
Right.
And you are very hesitant to reject me second twice. Yeah, so you will be more prompt to actually borrow me that $50 what I was planned on the very beginning. So what I don't know what was the president of the United States intention. I don't know what he was planning to achieve and where is he going. That's why I say it's a bit sensitive. What I am doing, guys, I can share with you what I am doing and what I am advising to my clients, because I am consulting multiple Vietnamese companies. And for last actually 6 years, I was focusing only on the tech companies, but now I'm also moving to traditional industry. We're working with the manufacturing and the people who need our help. And I advise to all of them, diversify right away. Don't rely on one market. Don't rely on one client. Move to the other market as soon as possible, because you never know. You mentioned that the services are not affected yet. You don't know what will happen. So it's better to stay safe. I always have this quote in my head. I am 51% optimistic and 49% paranoid. So as far as I am thinking good about the future, I am preparing for the worst. And this put me in the safe position. So whenever I work with my clients here in Vietnam, we started approaching APAC region. We started approaching the other markets to make sure that we are safe. Additionally, whenever now, as I mentioned, I will move a little bit to manufacturing industry, because at the end of the day, they getting the biggest hit. Because the old tariff, they are now at this moment focused on the product. At the top of that, if you understand the Vietnamese or Southeast Asia business culture, most of that is relying on the connections. So imagine that you have a family in US and you have a business here. Most of your business then will be focusing on US, and you are working through your family to get relationship, to get the clients and grow your business. This is really risky. So I highly recommend to anyone who is in the position that is dependent on something, dependent on client, dependent on market. When I say dependent, that means 51%, and who try to figure out the way to diversify. Let's learn from, I just mentioned about the model in Europe where they take in 20% of resources and diversify. This is also a method that helping you to protect your business. So maybe I don't know, maybe somebody might perceive my strategy as I don't know, too optimistic, maybe too scared. I'm too scared. But this is something that allowed me to be in the business for 6 years. So I think it's still okay.
Really, it's better to stay safe, right?
It's not only about me, but because like during these 6 years, we ran so many projects here in Vietnam. And I can proudly say that 99% of our projects are successful and our client operating happily and growing. We must be doing something right.
Sure, there must be something to do, but yeah, as you've said, I think it's also a good thing to stay safe because who knows what Donald Trump is about, right? He's a man with power and he has a lot of things on his mind, and I think this is just the start of something. Okay, great. So I think you wanted to say more about things that you do. So I think I'll ask one more question about that. As a person working with EU and Vietnam partnerships, how do you see the Vietnamese companies are responding to this moment by accelerating into European markets? And what kinds of collaboration opportunities do you see has been emerging between Vietnam and EU right now, especially in tech and digital services?
You direct this question to me because I couldn't hear.
Yes, I think I'm asking the question to you, Adam.
Yeah.
May I rephrase?
No, I heard the question, but I didn't hear the clue ask. So yeah, for the Europe and Vietnam, there is a lot of opportunities in the tech and non-tech industries. For non-tech, we have EVITA, meaning free trade agreement that allow the Vietnamese businesses to trade between the Europe. Second thing, when we're looking at the tech industry, there are two main trends I am noticing right now. So first trend is related to merger and acquisition. The businesses in the Europe, they had since 2020 or since 2019 a lot of space to grow, and small businesses, they have a huge cash piles, or they have assets that they trying to use. And I see more and more places where opportunities where the European businesses coming here and looking for acquiring companies in Vietnam. Second thing, obviously, they are building the delivery center. Could be under BOT model, build operate transfer, could be under ODC model. It really depends on the planning. And then the last thing, what is worth to mention, it's maybe the coming back to semiconductor. I'm not actually sure if I can talk about this, but we had a meeting with European Commissioner, and they clearly express intentions for investing in semiconductor. France is very pushing into this direction and going to Vietnam and investing in this. This is a little bit early stage, but it's something worth to mention. I would like to also add in something what we mentioned before about creating the technology centers here, creating OTC, BOT. And I really love what he shared, that he, as a Vietnamese, he understands the culture of Vietnam, and he been working a lot of time with Western businesses here. He sees that there is a difference in the culture, and he understands that whenever investors coming here, whenever the business is coming here with the intention setting up OTC, they should think about having someone who has this kind of knowledge and guide them. Guys, there is nothing worse than you investing as a foreign investor enter into the market and the project fail. It's bad for the client, it's bad for the company you're working with. So this is the thing we need to avoid. And I remember 2019 when we were starting, We had so many requests from the Europe to set up ODCs here, and we were a little bit too fast. I remember that time because there was huge misalignment between culture and things like that, and we quickly learned our lesson. And from that moment, whenever we're working with any investor coming to Vietnam, we always explain, guys, when you want to work with Vietnamese businesses, you need to have at least minimum understanding of the culture, of the business, of the work ethic. Even sometimes people, they don't know what is 13 salary and they want to build BOT. No, that's very risky. If the Vietnamese people
Right.
they don't get money for the Tet holidays, that's will be very risky for the
Yeah,
company.
that's the point.
So there is many elements. We solve it very quickly because now whenever we have any company coming in, investing in Vietnam, we assign a customer success manager. It's kind of culture and business translator from our organization, and we do it for free because we just so focus on making sure that the project will be successful. My personal mission is actually to help Vietnam grow, to show Vietnam in the world to the world. And being able to understand this fact that there is the different culture, different work ethic, different business ethic, it's giving me leverage that I want to share with anybody else to make sure that they can have a successful project. So understanding where is the area to invest, but then understand how to invest and how to work and how to have a successful project. That are all elements we need to think about.
Right.
Yeah.
So investing in a new country is no easy job, right? So if the case of US, Vietnam is very sensitive because you don't know what Donald Trump is up to, Vietnam EU partnerships can be another option, can be another window of opportunities for us, right? Right. Yes. And yeah, I'll just come back a little bit on the tariffs thing because that's our main focus for today. I'll ask Huy, please. As you can see that many countries has also been affected by this tariff. But what's your take on this? As Vietnam has still been growing with decent tariff, not too harsh, but it's still not too clear. Some local tech leaders claim that the ITO industry won't be affected. Do you agree on this? And do you think that Vietnam's broader tech industry will face trade-related pressure too?
Okay, this is interesting. So I think I did share my personally because like Adam mentioned, it's like very politic, right? And
Yeah, it's sensitive.
we yeah we don't know Donald Trump is decision, right? He's changed on and off, thing like that. So my take on this is on a direct or let's say technical level, the local tech leaders they are correct, right? But that is yes and no. Why? Because on the strategic microeconomy thing like that, the ITO broader tech industry will absolutely face the trade related pressure, right? It's very classic, first order and second order effect. For the first order effect, let's say why I say that why the tech leaders are very optimistic about those, because you see that when we talk about the tariff things, it's on the physical product crossing border, right? So for the IT, especially for the IT tech, like for our industry, like software industry, so it's not physical, so it not directly affected by the tariff yet. I think I say yet because we don't know the futures, right? And for that perspective, the IT outsourcing or IT service providing thing like that for industry is in a fantastic position, let's say, if we can say that optimistic. It's a safe haven from the direct impact for those tariff war thing like that. And if you can point out, this could be even an opportunities. Let's say if a U.S. company's core business of importing physical product from Vietnam, they suddenly become 20% more expensive, like what we are doing right now. They will look for saving elsewhere, right? And
Yes.
the high value and cost effective IT services from Vietnam will become an even more attractive proposition, right? That part of the argument is this sound like it, right? But the second order effect from those is that there was some invisible headwinds where you can see. So think about our end users and client for the IT, right? So they are often American companies in retail, in manufacturing, logistics, or consumer goods, right? The companies, those they have a supply chains are now being hit with 20% or let's say even 46% thing like that tariffs. And when this client company faced with a massive cost of increase and their supply chain very uncertainty, right? Their first reaction is that they need to protect their core business. So once
Right.
they protect their core business, they would find somewhere else to cut. And to be honest, normally the IT budgets are cutting first. So that is the first second order effects. The second thing is that's very sensitive about the transshipment, right? In Vietnam, you can see
Right.
that a lot of FDI, they came from just for example, Samsung or Foxconn or many names, right? So that is the most dangerous variable that we can highlight is that around 20 or 40 or 46% of tariff, 40% right now, right, on the tariff for good that Trump already announced that the massive red flag, or that is effect to the entire high tech ecosystem.
Mhm.
So yeah, so back to my example of the company. Think about a company like Samsung or Intel, right? They assembling the product here in Vietnam. Their product are fundamental that they are tech goods, right? So but it's physical. If their operation natural down into chaos because of the high tariff or unclear rule about their component origin, thing like that, if they cannot manage very well, it create a chilling effect on the entire tech investment of those companies. And even the R&D as well, R&D side, that they have been established R&D in Vietnam, and they are like a FDI invest to Vietnam, but they are not directly come from Vietnam, so they are considered transshipped, right? And they won't be affected. And you can see that at the end of the day, the whole GDP of Vietnam counted them as well, so it won't be affected a lot. And a lot of jobs, a lot of investment, a lot of money come from those. That is the second taking point from the second order effect. And third thing is that the overall investment sentiment is it's a key thing as well. Yeah, right. Because finally a sudden of 46 tariff threat, and even when it negotiated down, let's say like 20% thing like that, which is compared to 10% before, that is a new level of perceived political risk for Vietnam as well. That could say we are not safe, like Adam already mentioned. We are not safe, even if we can nego down by this time, but we don't know the future. So those creates the atmosphere of the threat among the overall investment sentiment for Vietnam's, especially from from the United States. So inclusion my take for this is why the local tech leaders are the very optimists, and they are celebrating their direct immunity. They might be ignoring the health of their customer and the stability of the broad order. broader ecosystem. The Vietnamese industry is like a well-built house that is survive, right? So you should save for yourself. So that is my takeover. It's a yes and no, right, for those.
Great. So, as you guys can see, that both of our brilliant speakers here are very cautious when we talk about tariffs and what is coming up next for Vietnam, because clearly, one, we're not being cleared of what are really the regulations and requirements on the US side yet. And second of all, we cannot just predict the future that easy. And this takes a lot of experience, knowledge, and of course, opportunities that we can catch on as well. So yes, thanks, Mr. Huy, because I think you've also answered the question 4 of investing in technology, especially in automation and digital things, actually can help business become much more resilient to tariff shifts like this. And yet, I think it's now that we have wrapped up everything. We have covered the big picture from Vietnam's economy momentum to its tech ecosystem to navigating global uncertainties like tariffs. And surely, I think a lot of our audience here might have a little bit of a question. Okay, so now let's open the floor for a few audience questions. So guys, as I said from the beginning, you can now feel free to drop your questions in the chat box, and then our team will sort them in real time and give you the floor so that the speakers can answer directly to you. Yes, we have now moved on to the Q&A parts, and if you guys have any questions, please fill it in the chat box. Oh yes, great. I can see here Huy Nguyen from your name. I think you must be an overseas Vietnamese. So yes, if you have a questions, you can now raise it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Thomas. I have a question for Adam. So, given recent tariff changes and global supply chain challenges, how can companies balance short-term technical needs with long-term goals like, developing low-cost leadership and innovation? And what strategies have you seen work, such as knowledge transfer or cross-border collaboration, to help Vietnam's tech talent compete globally? Is it clear enough for you? Adam, I think you're mute.
Thank you for just letting
Yeah,
me
yeah.
know. If I understand you well, so you're asking me, so what's the strategy actually, how we can protect ourselves? And just want to clarify one thing. Are you asking from perspective of Vietnamese businesses or from investor who want to invest in Vietnam?
I think let's focus on investment perspective.
Okay. This is a little bit difficult because I don't know what is the mood in the other countries. I don't know what the funders actually feel. Let's say Europe, let's consider on Europe. There are some tariffs. There are some challenges now they're facing with the US. How they act into it, it's very difficult for me to say because you need to be very deeply connected with the businesses there, or the best if you have a business there and then you do some specific activities to protect yourself. So as far as, unfortunately, I cannot bring you much value here. I can share a little bit from the perspective of Vietnamese businesses and connect this with the other countries. So if I look at the Vietnamese business and the business that work in technology industry, what I would do, it's something I mentioned before. First of all, is diversification. Yes, making sure that I am not dependent on anyone, not dependent on the one client, and not dependent on US market for sure. Okay, that would be my first act. Second, I need to consider that the tariffs that impact in the physical good, eventually in the chain, they will impact my technology business. Because it's like a connected ecosystem where one getting hurt, then another getting hurt, but maybe later in the time. So I need to be aware of this and set up the structure of the business that it's resistant to those kind of activities. Third thing, it's something that also I shared with you before. If we know that there are countries in the world that suffering from decisions of United States. So let's say Europe suffering as well. We should sit down and discuss together, guys, what we can do. Like what the Chinese president did, it was perfect move. Suddenly, when the tariffs came in, he go into his jet and fly around Southeast Asia, meeting the people and setting up new opportunities for those between China and those countries. Very smart move. And we should do the same thing. We should start talking with Europe. We should start creating business exchange between Vietnam and the Europe, or Vietnam and APAC region. Yes, consider, obviously we need to remember about US. This is like big brother of everyone, the biggest economy in the world. But don't rely on him. Don't rely on the big brother. Consider about the different opportunities. Consider about the model that I just mentioned, that companies from the Europe, they can outsource 20% of their resources to protect themselves. Okay? And it's not only protection, they actually can make good business decision because they can save on the cost. They can save on the recruitment. So this is very smart move. And I think what I'm dreaming of, and not only dreaming, because I also actually start creating the global network of entrepreneurs, connecting the people, connecting business owners, people who can think strategically, connect them together and make kind of environment where they can brainstorm together. They can share the ideas. This is something what I'm really excited about and what I am actually in the phase of the building. But having multiple smart people in one place, discussing together, finding solution together, it's something that we should consider to do. Zoe, I'm not sure is that answering your question. If you want to me supply with something else, let me.
Thank you. I think it's clear enough for
I
me.
can
Yeah.
sorry, I can add up. I can add up some point from Adam takes over from on those that for the long term. Let's say if I could be speak out as I'm the entrepreneur in Vietnam for the the IT company as well. So the long term strategy that we need to follow is that we have the direction from Vietnamese government for digital transformation, semiconductor, AI, blockchains, and IoTs, which is even for your tech direction. We need to follow the Vietnamese government direction, because 2030 they aim to focus a lot on those priorities. So that's why for the long term, if we are business, we need to focus on our core business, focus on our core competence, which is follow Vietnamese government direction for those. That is for long term. But for the short term, for sure, that we need to very carefully take the point of how to save the cost by applying automation, AI, or something like that. It's not just the trend, right? But it happened in the reality. So as a business, you need to really focus on how to save the cost for your company, save the cost for your clients. So even that is the tariff come up, let's say, just we don't have that, but let's say if coming up, we still save as a business. So those I add up for Adam's point.
Thank you so much, Huy. Yeah.
Okay.
Great. So I think the answers are very clear, and it gives a very insightful on how Zoe, yeah, the girl who gave the question, right? A very clear, informed decision on what to do next and what are the things that she should consider when she goes on an investment of some kind. And yes, I'm seeing another one raising her hand. Linda, right? Linda, yes, you can now unmute yourself and give your questions to our speakers.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, I'm Linda, and I just want to have a question for Mr. Huy. I think not Mr. Huy, Adam also can give me some insight also. I have a question that do you think that Vietnam current legal environment is keeping pace with the innovation like AI, blockchain, and data? Because I think data and blockchain and AI is booming in the US and all the Europe market, but in Vietnam, the company in Vietnam is still like how to say invest a lot of things into AI and blockchain, but it's still how to say slower than other country. So do you think that the Vietnam current environment is keeping pace with this? And how much does this matter to the foreign investor when they decide to where to build where to build next for this? Yeah.
Mhm. Adam, you want to go first?
No, I give it to you. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, Linda, for the question. So, your question could be, let's say, you need to know the focus of the Vietnamese economy in terms of new tech like AI or big data or blockchain, right? Or let's say even semiconductors. Say so, if you could read this well on the new resolution 57, you would see that Vietnamese government, they already populate the direction for the next 5 years of Vietnam in terms of innovation or like a breakthrough of the sciences, including AI, blockchain, IoT, digital transformation, and information technology. So that's why recently you see a lot of activities from the government perspective and also from the company perspective. Uh, just to give you the example of the blockchain, right? Before blockchain is like a gray area from Vietnamese. But right now, the government already have the law for the blockchain, which is they allow us, and I mean they allow the people to develop the cryptocurrency exchange. That is first thing. Second thing, they already allow the national layer one blockchain in Vietnam. And One Mile Group, they already take on that, and they are working with a lot of vendors in Vietnam, a lot of startup in blockchain in Vietnam to develop those, and very soon the crypto exchange like a stock exchange or like a just for example gold exchange like in foreign countries to be operated in Vietnam. So that is for blockchain. The many would come, right? Many decentralized application would come in blockchain in Vietnam that you would see. So those resulted the good signal for Vietnamese IT tech companies and also for foreigner companies because they have a lot of they have a lot of application, they have a lot of ideas to bring to Vietnam, and they can hire Vietnamese tech company to develop for them, or even they can invest into Vietnamese company in those technology innovation. So that is just a takeaway for blockchain and AI. You see that. AI is everywhere in Vietnam, right? It's everywhere in Vietnam, and the Vietnamese government they have through their resolution 57 they really want to apply the AI in Vietnam. So there's one statement of Vietnamese government by 2030, every Vietnamese citizen has one AI agent. You can take a look on that. So that is the very first and foremost commitment from Vietnamese government for AI. For semiconductor, you see that there's a hub in Da Nang City. So the investment for those till now is more than as far as I know is that 200 million USD already for those hub for semiconductor in Vietnam to be in the chip design or either the education on chip design for the semiconductor. And the other thing is that if the company work in the semiconductor in Vietnam, if they register if they have, there will be tax free. The tax free not just for the business, also that a personal income tax for the people. So those just at the example of Vietnamese government where they committed to the new tax, committed to the breakthrough science that they already been, working for and set it out if everything for the development in the future.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I think it's enough to answer my question. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank you. Yeah, thank you, Linda.
You just guys don't mind, I was applying here, maybe something a little bit controversial, because from what I observe, there is a lot of initiative, as we mentioned, and I'm living in Da Nang. I see what is happening here. It's just amazing. But if I will be very, very objective, here in Vietnam, we are still pretty behind, but that's good. But that's good. The reason why I say it's good because it's creating a lot of opportunities. There is so much space, area that the value must be created. So the areas where there is still many challenges, still many problems, and those areas waiting for entrepreneurs, for innovative entrepreneurs to come, create the solution, and build a new economy, create places that hire people. And my mind working this way, that when I see some problem, I see opportunity, because there must be somebody to solve this problem. And I think that because Vietnam is still not following up with other countries like Europe, if we want to compare. However, maybe that's not fair for Vietnam, but let's say so. The growth of Vietnam so exponential as we see now, it's because there is so much areas for the businesses to grow. And this is great. So again, even though we're a little bit behind, that's great, guys, because it's creating a lot of opportunities.
Thank you, Adam, for adding up my point. This is great to know, because if you are like a just from the bottom to the middle, you have a lot of opportunity for foreigners. Otherwise, if you are at the highest like a mountain, you cannot have any chance to invest, right? So that is Vietnamese economy right now.
Right, great. Thank you. The answers from both speakers, and as you may have heard, my attendees, they have answered that. Well, it's just like a famous Chinese word that I remember. There's always an opportunity in any threats, right? So it's better that you have things cleared out. I know that the trend in Vietnam is growing well, but there are also other things that you need to consider as well. Right. So yes, and I think we will have time for one last question here. And I see another person in the chat, Dũng Chị, right? May you please unmute yourself and ask your question to our dear speakers. Thank you.
Hi guys and everyone. Hey, I'm based in Germany, so Adam, you may be not so far away from me currently. But I have a question because it's very interesting to hear that you already have experience in Vietnamese business and so on. So my business is very insurance, so data protection is most important for dealing with it's a company like LTS outside of the European. So my question is, how have you handled GDPR requirement into the IT projects so far? And what technical and procedural solution have you implemented to stay compliant? This will help me to move forward with some idea. Thank you.
But the question is to me or to Huy?
I think you can answer this better if you already experienced with GDPR, or we can answer that also if you guys already have that kind of experience.
Yeah, definitely. I have experienced GDPR, especially when we're talking about the technology. You mentioned about insurance, which is a bit sensitive, but it's not only insurance, it's e-commerce, anywhere, payment system, everywhere where we have access to the data of the users from the Europe, let's say like that. guys, to be honest with you, we've been exposed a few times to this, and I found one very simple solution. Maybe it's a little bit pushing the responsibility on the European party, but whenever they come to us, and let's say they run e-commerce project where there is some regulation on data handling, either it's a card payments, names, whatever. We always, as a Vietnamese service provider, we always requesting that they provide us the process, how they want us to handle the data, because the GDPR is not completely clear to everyone. So the easiest way we found that when the client coming to us and saying, okay, we have this project, so we request from them the full outline, what security we should have in place, what is the process, and then we just basically requesting from their side to guide us, because basically they have experience already. I know, Zoom, that doesn't answer your question, like doesn't give you ABC formula, what you should do with your company. But I don't want to share any information that maybe I am not really 100% sure or confident to give you. What I am confident is just basically the system as we created with our partner. Whenever clients coming from the Europe, we requesting them to provide us the process of how we should handle data, and then we can commit to it or we cannot commit. Sometimes there was the cases that some clients work in the retail and e-commerce. They even have to send us the laptops. We could only use the laptops from that they provide to us as a way to secure, as another level of the providing security. I think if you looking for the more technical answer to this question, I think we might be also able to support you.
Yeah, thank you, Trung and Adam. So let me add up on those with my past experience on those, because I have been working since I work in FPT software for European clients, so a lot of clients since like 2005 to 2010 something. So we have been in the case of one very famous company in Germany, so which is in the energy. We have been discussing with them before that we need to set up some kind of the offshore development center in Vietnam, and then we forgot at that time. We forgot about the GDPR form, because they finally when dealing the contract they need to add those points. So it was a headache, and then after then we discussed with them, and we have to come with the agreement is that we need to set up private list line for everything, private virtual image of the PC, thing like that, and then all the employee working in Vietnam, they need to accept for those. And there was one environment in Europe that at that time it's the office in Europe, so we had the IT in Europe office to manage everything, and our people in Vietnam, they have to go to some secure environment through VPN to the list line, connecting directly from Vietnam to Germany to work for the client. So that is just, I think that is just the technical solution. The other thing that Adam already mentioned is that we need to have procedure, which is I mean we need to have a process, we have a procedure to control everything on, and then we need to audit every frequency, like monthly or quarterly, thing like that, for all the compliance of those GDPR, especially in Europe. So that is just a case of the technical and then process procedure for those. The other thing is as let's say if we work together as a client and partner, we need to sign the agreement. by signing agreement. So it doesn't just say like, hey, I need to follow the GDPR from Europe, but there should be some written down the sentences by the template, and which is a lot of point that to follow, a lot of point that to be audited, compliant. And then for the organization, we may need to apply for some certification from Europe organization like DICRA or just etc. Right? Just for example. So those are just my key takeaways on those. I don't know whether it can answer your question.
Thank you. This answered my question. Yes. So I
Thank you.
have a little bit of overview about this, and yeah, I think we can catch up offline. We to talk more about this.
Okay.
Maybe there could be some opportunities to go further. Okay, thank you guys.
Yeah. Appreciate that. Definitely. Thank you.
And yes, thank you, Mr. Zunchik, for your very insightful question there, and it has given our attendees a lot of information, not just about the new terms of GDPR, but also how companies in the international landscape should be aware of that when they invest in Vietnam and just anywhere else relating to data protection of users. Great. So yes, I think this is now wrapping up our Q&A session, and any more questions that my attendees may have, you can connect on LinkedIn with our professionals and dear speakers here, Mr. Adam Skoneczny from EBIT organization and Mr. Huy Nguyen from LTS Group. Yes, and throughout the whole webinar, I have always said that Vietnam is not just attracting capital, but it's also building a compelling story around long-term value creation, digital leadership, and regional competitiveness. So yes, on behalf of our team, we thank you all for joining us today. Huge thanks again to our speakers here, Adam and Huy, for your sharp insights and generosity in sharing both strategy and your experience in the field. Yes, and Adam and Huy, after everything we have discussed today, do you have any thoughts or message that you would want to leave the audience with? Adam, do you have anything left to talk about to attendees?
So if you are outside of Vietnam, I highly recommend you to at least check out. I don't say invest, go all in. Just at least check out what's happening here, because this is really, really exciting. What is going on in Vietnam. And if you are a Vietnamese business, I highly recommend you think bigger, go abroad, try to find the opportunities, APAC region, Europe, US as well. Be brave. Vietnam is an amazing country, very amazing people. So go to the world and show what you can do.
Yes, great. So besides staying in Vietnam for the investment, it is also noteworthy that it is also the launch part for Vietnam enterprises and companies to even go global and to expand new opportunities, right? Great. Wonderful sharing there. And Mr. Huy, do you have anything else to talk to our audience as we leave?
Thank you. This is interesting, right? So for me, this is the first time for kind of a webinar like this, because talking about some very sensitive topic. I mean, I was in tech for many years, but this is first time for me to talk about some sensitive topic that like people mention about the war of tariff thing like that. But it's inspiring me. So I do hope that with our sharing right now, Adam and me, with our thought, personal sharing, personal perspective can help you a little bit in terms of understanding Vietnamese economies, Vietnamese underground thing like that, to be really good for the foreign investor to come to Vietnam, and also with the tariff thing that we have been I mean our government, they have been working so hard and so well to get the result for our country. So I do hope that this webinar shares some little bit information for you, and hope it's all helpful for you Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Huy. And as you have said, everything has their first times, right? So this is also the first time of me hosting, and this is also the first webinar in a whole series of Built in Vietnam, right? So there are more episodes coming next month, and we'll be diving into another key topic shaping the country's tech future. And yes, again, thank you both for your beautiful closing thoughts. And I think our dear speakers here have given us a lot to reflect on as well as to even more to act upon. And for anyone who wants to rewatch or watch today's conversation, we'll be broadcasting again a webinar on LinkedIn at 9 p.m. tonight Vietnam time. And also all attendees today will receive a follow-up email with the full recording, presentation slide, and a bonus digital gift from the LTS team as our way of saying thank you. So yes, remember, this is just the beginning. More episodes coming up next month. So yes, stay tuned. And until then, take care and see you soon. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Anh Huy. Thank you, Mr. Adam. Yes, thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Daniel.